All right, good evening, folks. I'm going to call the order. Calling the September 12th, 2023 meeting of the Board of Education to order in accordance with Government Code Section 54950 Executor and Education Code Section 35140 Executor at 5 p.m. As Trustee Frazier will participate via teleconference, all votes will be taken by roll call. Also at this time, I'd like to make a motion that just cause exists for Trustee Marilyn Anderson to attend this meeting remotely. May I have a second? Second. Thank you. All right, so all of those in favor except for Maryland?
Aye.
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 All right. Motion carries 3-1. Okay, so at this point, we're going to be adjourning for closed session for the purpose of discussing the following matters. Number 1, public employee discipline, dismissal, suspension, release, leave, assignment, non-reelection, non-reappointment, resignation, reinstatement, pursuant to Government Code 54957. Number 2, personnel matters, public employee appointments, employment pursuant to Government Code 54957, in regards to elementary assistant principal and middle school assistant principal. Number 3, conference with labor negotiators, Dr. Alex Chernis, superintendent, Gary Stein, assistant superintendent, administrative services, Dr. Isaac Gates, assistant superintendent, human resources, in regards to CSEA, APLE, and PLUM. Also number 4, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 or 3 subdivision D of section 54956.9, one case. Number 5, claims. Settlement agreement for student identification number 1739. Settlement agreement for student identification number 1740. And settlement agreement for student identification number 1589. Is there anyone present that would like to address any of these items? Okay, as seeing none, we're going to go ahead and adjourn to closed session at 5:03. Thank you. All right, good evening, folks. We're going to go ahead and reconvene to regular session at 6 p.m., 1800. The report out of closed session included the board took action to appoint Genesis Melendrix, middle school assistant principal, effective September 13th, 2023. The motion was forwarded by Ms. Carrie Buck, seconded by Ms. Leander Blades, and carried 5-0. The second, the board took action to appoint Michelle Sirenstan Miller, elementary school assistant principal, August 30th, 2023. It was brought forward by Ms. Leander Blades, seconded by Carrie Buck, and the motion carried 5-0. The board also took action to approve a special education settlement agreement for student with the identification number of 1739, brought forward by Trustee Blades, seconded by Trustee Buck, and carried 5-0. The board also took the action to approve the special education settlement agreement for student identification number of 1740. This motion was brought forward by Trustee Buck, seconded by Trustee Anderson, and carried 5-0. Last, the board took action to approve the special education settlement agreement for student with the identification number of 1569. Brought forward by Trustee Blade, seconded by Trustee Frazier, and carried 5-0. Awesome. That completes the closed session report. At this time, we're going to go ahead and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Blades is going to lead us in that. If you would please stand. Awesome. Thank you. At this time, folks, I'm gonna bring forward a moment of silence. Before we get this started tonight, I would ask all of those in attendance and watching via our live stream to pause for a moment of silence in the honorable memory of the thousands of Americans who lost their lives as a result of the attack on our nation of September 11th, 2001. It's hard to believe that it's been over 20 years since this terrible day in our country's history. To ensure we never forget, every year on September 11th, known as Patriots Day, the PYLUSD facilities fly flags at half staff, and all schools hold special activities in remembrance. This year was no different, as schools encouraged students to wear red, white, and blue, decorated campuses with patriotic colors, held moments of silence and flag ceremonies, shared about the day's historical significance through morning and video announcements, and so much more. In remembrance, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you for that. Okay, sorry, a little choked up there. At this point, I'd like to make a request that the board consider moving up this item in the agenda for us to vote on. I would like to move up the student board member item so he may join us at this time.
So moved.
Marilyn, Todd?
Yeah. Do we need
Yep.
to vote?
Okay. No, I just want to make sure we had a consensus to do so. Okay, so I want to ask for a motion, please.
I moved it.
All right, so this Leander Blades moved, and it's Carrie Buck. And this will appoint Adrian Menser as student board member for the first semester of the 2023-24 school year. Dr. Chernis, if you would.
I think you can do that way, yeah. Yeah, he's going to introduce you.
All right, well, first, let me share a little bit about Aiden with you all here. Aiden grew up in our district, having attended Bryant Ranch, Travis, and now he's at Yorba Linda High School. As a senior, Aiden serves the Mustangs as ASB ambassador. In his elected role, he has a long list of important responsibilities, including maintaining a school-wide fundraising calendar, fostering positive relationships with the school community, serving as a liaison between ASB and student groups, and much more. In addition to ASB, Aiden's senior year also includes classes such as AP Physics, Calculus, Government, and economics and literature, as well as other extracurricular activities like water polo. He just had a game today, came right after. Swim, link crew, parent teacher student association, and National Honor Society, just to name a few. Following graduation beginning in the fall of 24, Aiden hopes to attend Cal Berkeley. Go Bears. To study environmental engineering or political science. Aiden has a strong support system behind him with his mom Michelle, dad Steve, and 3 siblings, Owen, Quinn, and Jackson. Some of them are here with us this evening in the audience. Also in attendance to show their support are Principal Din, Activities Director Sandra Long-Gallegos, and other members of the Yorba Linda High School. We are pleased that Aiden has agreed to serve as our student board member during his senior year at Yorba Linda. Let's give him a round of applause. Okay, so Aiden, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name,
Aiden Mincer,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter
upon which I am about to enter.
as a student board member.
As a student board member,
I am committed to providing a voice for students,
I am committed to providing a voice for students,
including communicating effectively
including communicating effectively
regarding schools, programs, activities, and student achievement.
regarding schools, programs, activities, and student achievement.
Furthermore, I will do my best
Furthermore, I will do my best
to ensure all representative opinions
to ensure all representative opinions
of the students of the Placentia-Yorba Linda Unified School District
of the students of the Placentia-Yorba Linda Unified School District
are actively sought, heard, and considered
are actively sought, heard, and considered
as I serve as a student member to the Board of Education.
as I serve as a student member to the Board of Education.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
See that there.
So, Dr. Chernus, I kind of went a little backwards on that because we still have to vote for this young man to sit up here, and I don't know, he's pretty
I don't know, is he
suspect
the
right
best?
now. But let me get all those in favor of sitting Aiden.
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries 5-0. Welcome, Aiden. Okay, folks, roll call is going to be tonight. We're going to do all our voting via roll call. So, roll call. Let the record show tonight. We have Trustee Blades, Trustee Buck. We have President Youngblood, and we have Trustee Frazier is on. He's on now? He's teleconferencing now. Okay. And Trustee Anderson. Is that correct, everybody? All right. Very good. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you much. All right. So we're going to get to the approval of the agenda. I think Dr. Chernus, you had something?
Yes, I'm recommending regarding the agenda that we pull item 23.5, I'm sorry, 24.3 instructional materials resolution number 23.5 be pulled and the agenda amended. We'll be bringing it forward to the October 10th board meeting when a public hearing can be held pursuant to Education Code 60119.
Okay.
Can
I'll
you
need-
repeat that number?
Oh, sorry.
Consent item 24.3 instructional materials resolution.
Thank you.
All right. I'll need a motion to approve the September 12th, 2023 Board of Education agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
moved.
You can give to Marilyn. She's
All
chiming
right.
in.
She's trying.
Ms. Anderson, you have the second. Excellent. Any
Second.
comments on this? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
All right. There you go. Okay. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. This brings us to our public comment. Public comment cards are available in the foyer. Cards must be completed and turned in prior to the designated time for public comment. You will be provided a maximum of 3 minutes per person. If translation is needed, an additional 3 minutes will be given. Please let us know ahead of time so we can ensure that we are prepared. There is a civility policy, Education Code 4220 prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability, gender, gender identity, gender expression, nationality, race, or ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or any other characteristics that is contained in the definition of hate crimes set forth in section 422.55 of the Penal Code, including immigration status. Okay, I'll need a motion to appoint the minutes of the regular meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 8th, 2023 as presented.
All right, Ms. Buck
Second.
and Ms. Blades. Any comments? And all of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nice. Good job.
Aye.
All right. So 5 plus our student board member, motion carries. Excellent. Okay, we're going to throw Aiden right into the fire. At this point, we're going to have our student board report. Aiden, take it away.
Good evening, President Youngblood, trustees, Superintendent Dr. Chernus, and executive cabinet members. I am honored to be here tonight to share recent happenings from our comprehensive high schools and alternative campuses. Buena Vista, starting with Buena Vista Virtual Academy. Buena Vista Virtual Academy's PTSA is hosting a family welcome back picnic at Hurlis Barton Park from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Friday, September 29th. This is an opportunity for students of all ages to meet with each other and for families to connect. There will be group meetings for kindergarten through 5th graders, 6th through 8th graders, and 9th through 12th graders. Friends and family are welcome to join and bring their own picnic food. PTSA will provide water, lemonade, and cookies. Next is El Camino Real High School. The Raptors begin the new school year on a positive note as they welcome over 140 students and 5 new staff members to their campus. To kick off the new school year, El Camino Real recently hung a custom mural on campus. The We Are One mural was created by students in the school's Design for Digital Print course. This project-based course helps students gain an understanding and develop hands-on professional skills in graphic communications and design, typography, and facets of digital printing in a real-world context. Next is El Dorado High School. On the first day of school, over 2,000 students and staff celebrated the kickoff to a new year by forming together to spell the nest on the school's field. This is a wonderful tradition that all Golden Hawks look forward to each year. Next is Esperanza High School. Esperanza celebrated their 50th anniversary with 2 events, including a football game on Friday, August 25th, where they recognized and celebrated alumni by decade at halftime. Also on Saturday, August 26th, the Aztecs held a celebration at Esperanza, starting with a rally, then school tours, and reception in the quad. Next is George Key School Venture Academy. Both George Key and Venture welcomed members of the Placentia Fire and Police Departments to campus on September 11th. Students completed a banner of handprints in red, white, and blue to honor the first responders. Students led the school and its guests in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Thank you cards were presented to the first responders, and everyone loved seeing the police cars and fire trucks driven by the local heroes. Next is Parkview School. On September 22nd, Parkview parents will have the opportunity to come together to plan, collaborate, and brainstorm ideas to make the most out of their homeschool learning experience through curriculum connections. Next is Valencia High School. The Tigers are looking forward to their first Cambridge ACE program graduates this school year with 5 candidates moving forward. They should have about 25 Cambridge diploma recipients the following year. The Cambridge ACE program offers an international curriculum and examination system that emphasizes the value of broad and balanced study. Alongside an in-depth understanding of a variety of subjects, students also need to manage a broader range of skills critical for success in university study and employment. Valencia hosted their first assembly of the school year titled Going for the Gold, which was Olympic themed to commemorate the Bell Game, rivalry, and the annual football game that took place on Friday, September 8th. Seeing the school's various groups on campus perform, including the cheer team, dance and all-male, and the 2 students who performed a Bollywood Indian dance was a great way to kick off the rivalry day. Last is Yorba Linda High School. The Mustangs Week of Welcome included school-wide classroom activities to build connections between teachers and students. The campus was beautifully decorated and full of Mustang pride and spirit. While HS also had its inaugural flag football game to celebrate, the school had a first kickoff and signing of a football to keep in the trophy case. The girls earned their first victory beating Mater Dei.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So, Aiden, what do you expect to gain in serving as a student board member here?
In serving as the student board member for the PYLUSD district, I hope to expand upon my communication skills and leadership skills from learning from everyone else on the board, and also advocating for the students. In my position as a member of the student body, I hope to be the voice, and because they are the ones actually experiencing the issues we tackle here and actually being affected by these, I hope to just advocate for them in the best way possible.
Excellent. Definitely. Okay, folks, that brings us to our superintendent's report. Dr. Chernis, if you would.
Thank you. Good evening, President Youngblood, Board of Education. We had an awesome start to the school year. We're thrilled to welcome back our students, staff, and families on Tuesday, August 29th. And on the first day, district leaders visited 34 schools. We saw smiling kids, a lot of great programs going on, and kids were happy to be there, and there was teaching and learning happening. I'm grateful to all of our employees for their preparation leading up to the start and welcoming each and every student with caring and kindness. I can't wait to see what this school year has in store. So we had a State of the District event, and I recently delivered a State of the District address. It was a first for our district, and by all indications, it was a very successful event. And at the core of my presentation, it was really about challenging and preparing our students today for their world tomorrow. And I'm going to speak to that in a little bit here. The State of the District presentation, it's available online on YouTube. We've gotten thousands of views. The public, we encourage you to watch it. And we also last week put together our back to school video. So I want to thank the staff that helped put that together. And that can also be accessed on our social media platforms. Later in this meeting as well, the board will be presented with our district's plan to allocate funding for arts, music, and instructional materials. This is a block grant. This is one-time money. And as I came to the district and I studied our current programs, one of the most impactful programs I remember as a kid and also, as an educator was outdoor science school. I still remember 6th grade camp. Unfortunately, what I found here was, as great as the program is, we had about half of our schools not going, and the other half going. And some of it was funding issues. Some of it was just priorities. So you will see we're making this a priority. This was an equity issue. We talk about equity. This is an equity issue. And so we're fixing that. And this year, every school will go to outdoor science school. And the kids are going to have a great time. So really excited about that. So the other thing that, speaking of the future, how are we preparing students for the future? Going back to my State of the District report, one of the things we talk about is what do future jobs look like in 10, 20, 30 years? And there's a common thread through all of these projected fields, and that is computer science, integration of computer science into these fields. So I've been in discussion with our outstanding principal, Beth Fisher, Placentia-Yorba. She's an innovator, she's an educator, and we've been talking about ways to create a specialized school in our district, a district school, and infusing computer science and other creative instructional practices into the school. And so not only are we looking at computer science, we're also looking at foundational mathematics. And I spoke to this as well. When we transitioned to Common Core, one of the issues with Common Core in math was it lacked foundational mathematics. And I'm a former mathematics teacher, and I had the benefit of teaching before Common Core and now with Common Core. And especially for our EL students, mathematics used to be a way to level the playing field. Now with Common Core, mathematics is so language-based that even our English language learners really struggle. It's hard for parents in many cases to support their students of all levels and backgrounds. And so this year, not only are we're supplementing our Common Core math curriculum with foundational math skills, but talking to Bernardo about in this new specialized school in offering a more foundational non-Common Core mathematics program. So it'll be a computer science specialized school, non-Common Core math, and then allowing the teachers, the English teachers, to select curriculum the best, our teachers know. So we're going to let the experts select this curriculum. Mathematics curriculum such as Singapore math, we'll put together different options for teachers to be able to develop. And then really having computer science be at the core. And so we're really excited about this. We're looking at what kind of model and discussing with Principal Fisher. What does this look like? Is this going to be a lab school, a charter school, a district charter school, a magnet? And so we're still looking at that. We do think that a district charter would give a lot of flexibility. It would be for our kids, but we can design the curriculum and the schedule how we want. So that is something we're really excited about, bringing this district, being at the top, leader in innovation, bringing in the best technology. And so there will be more to come on that, but I wanted to give you that tidbit. Also, U.S. News and World Report. The U.S. News and World Report, they recently released their 23-24 best high school rankings. And many of the outlets have published ranked school programs over the years, but the U.S. News is typically one that people really look to. And we're proud to announce that all 4 of our comprehensive high schools were highly ranked in LA metro area and across the nation. And all 4 of our campuses ranked in the top 9% of the nation's 25,000 high schools and top 12% in California. So that's something we should really be proud of. We have a superintendent's advisory committee. One of my goals is to engage more community members. And so we've had over 170 applications. And so we're going to be selecting our members of our advisory committees. We have 4 committees so far. Elementary parent, middle school parent, high school parent. And when I say parent, it's open to the community as well. And special education parent committee. And so those meetings will start in October. Really excited about that as well.
Could I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
You had mentioned that you were trying to get everybody that applied a space. Is that
Yeah.
still what you're working on? How's that looking?
We're trying to figure out the best way to do it. We had a lot more than I expected. So we'll have to determine the best way to select members. So it's a productive group, a productive meeting. PBIS recognition. So 10 of our campuses have been distinguished by California PBIS for excellence in implementing the PBIS interventions and supports. As you know, PBIS is an approach that focuses on emotional behavior learning of students. And it leads to increasing engagement and decreasing behaviors. And so I want to congratulate Rose Drive, Woodsboro, and Yorba Linda Middle. They earned the platinum recognition. And we have, Principal Nappy's here, formerly of Rose. So congratulations to your former staff, and thank you for your work on that as well. I want to congratulate Kramer and Glenview and Wagner for the gold recognition. Brookhaven, Bryant Ranch, and Ruby Drive for silver recognition. And Lakeview Elementary for bronze recognition. And finally, I'd like to report to the board that we have a new exciting program we've developed here. It's a diploma-bound program on the campus of El Camino for our special education students. No longer are students going to complete 12th grade and get a certificate of completion if we think they're capable of getting a diploma. So these students will continue. They'll go to El Camino, and they'll earn their diploma. It's something we're really proud of. We're really excited about. We've already started it this year. We have several students enrolled in the program, and we hope to get more and more. And so The program is being launched. I want to thank our special education director, Renee Gray, and her team for helping to. It's really about putting kids first, and we know what our kids are capable of, and so making sure our kids get their diplomas. So that concludes my report.
Very good. That was a lot of great information. Okay. This brings us to our public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to provide input to the Board of Education. During public comment period, board members do not dialogue with the speakers or make comments regarding the information shared. We have 11 people wishing to speak tonight, so each speaker will have 2 minutes to talk. I ask that the speakers repeat their name once they come up to the podium and speak. And also, if I could have the first 4 speakers sitting in the first row in order to be prepared once their name is called. So the first ones that I have, Miss Sarah Phillips, Carla Jones, Josh Schroeder, is that Schroeder? And Linda Mannion. Miss Phillips, you'll be first.
Good evening, everyone. Usually, I'm the librarian at Yorba High School, Sarah Phillips, and that's what I would usually talk about is libraries and books and reading, but really I'm here as the NHS advisor at Yorba High School. I just want to really thank or congratulate Aiden Mincer on holding that spot. I think he's a great student to represent the students of Yorba Linda, Placentia-Yorba Linda. So, good job. Thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Hi, good evening. My name is Carla Jones. I just started my 27th year as a physical education teacher at Kramer Middle School, my entire career at Kramer. I am thrilled with the increased opportunities for after-school athletics at the middle school and elementary level. However, my concern today is with the potential approval of items 24.1-0, soccer, an 8-week program at 19 elementary schools at the cost of $208,000, 24.1-1 pickleball for 8 weeks at 14 elementaries at the cost of $176,960, and 24.1-2 basketball at 1 middle school, 16 elementary schools, 2 13-week programs at the cost of $100,555. for a total of $485,515. Although I understand this money comes from different budgets, the price tag is concerning since the average physical education budget is between $800 and $1,000 for the entire school for an entire year. I look forward to hearing more about this later in the meeting. Thank you.
Josh? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Josh Schrader. I'm a parent with 2 children currently enrolled in PYL-USD. In one of Dr. Chernus's first Monday messages, he said his educational philosophy could be summed up as putting kids first, and I agree. I was inspired to speak tonight after seeing the frankly horrifying videos of last week's Orange Unified board meeting. My friend is an Orange Unified parent who attends their board meetings regularly. This weekend, she told me she never felt so threatened in her life. Walking into that meeting, she said, felt like walking into a lion's den. The rage and hate I see spewing from recent board meetings around the region stem from the so-called parental notification policies focusing on LGBTQ youth. I'll be clear, I find these policies to be abhorrent attacks on some of our most vulnerable students. They don't protect kids, they put targets on them. Trustee Blades has said in an online interview that she's working on a notification policy for our district. It's obviously not on the agenda tonight. The reason I've chosen to speak tonight, not as a crisis actor or a video blogger or a political operative, but again as an actual parent and voter, is that I don't think I'd be heard if I tried to speak at the type of the meeting Orange Unified just had. Maybe here, on a relatively quiet Tuesday, my voice will mean something. A board policy that equates a kid's gender identity with a mental illness is illegal. There is no way that type of discrimination could ever be putting kids first. Given how divisive it is, it's putting politics first. And districts who've passed these policies are already being sued by the state. Imagine how much of our limited financial resources it would cost for our district to be caught up in one of those lawsuits. Please don't put our district through the pain of another one of these political stunts. I can already see how it'll play out. This boardroom will fill up with out-of-town rabble. Actual parents will be too scared to show up or be silenced by an angry mob if they can find a seat. We'll have to spend money on a frivolous lawsuit, and worst of all, instead of putting kids first, we'll be putting our most vulnerable kids last. Please don't try to pass one of these policies. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Miss Mannion?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Mannion, president of the Association of Placentia-Linda Educators. And I'm here tonight on behalf of 95%. I represent 95% of the teachers in this district. A new school year means new beginnings, new adventures, new friendships, and new challenges. The slate is clean and anything can happen. This year is off to a wonderful start and exemplifies all these new beginnings. Apple's motto has always been, teaching is a work of the heart, where our decisions are student-centered to ensure that our classrooms are a nurturing environment where every student feels valued and safe and can achieve their personal best. With that goal in mind, we are so appreciative of our collaborative relationship with the district and the shared values that we have established in working together for our students. We specifically want to thank Dr. Chernis for inspiring us all at the pre-service symposium with his vision of academic excellence to meet the challenges of the future. We thank Dr. Young for her work with us to provide curricular pathways to achieve the district vision of excellence. We thank Dr. Gates for ensuring that we continue to have the best and the brightest new educators to lead us into the future. And we thank Nancy Blade for always being our rock of stability for all of us by leading with courage, passion, and wisdom. Vincent van Gogh said, "I am seeking, I am striving, and I'm in it with all my heart." The same can be said for our teachers. They are seeking, they are striving, and they are in it with all their hearts. Thank you.
Thank you. The next four speakers, Megan Modko, Kimberly Roche, Jeannie Pake, and Jennifer Arjudos. Megan, you're first.
Hello, good evening, trustees, staff. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm here with a couple quick comments. My first is about student teachers. I know that we have a couple of items in the HR agenda about student teaching agreements specifically. I know we've requested a couple of times to see the numbers of requested student teachers and kind of the fill rates, both historically and currently. I'd be happy to stand corrected if that's posted somewhere and I've just missed it. If you could direct me to where we could find those numbers, I would certainly appreciate it. We want to be sure that we are supporting our teachers and also have the opportunity to recruit the best and brightest of the next teaching cohort. The next item that I wanted to talk about really quickly is based on the Chancellor of the Community College's new Vision 2030. There is a focus on new expanded dual enrollment options and considerable funding that's associated with those dual enrollment options. I did see that we're offering an additional 3 classes, but based on our consideration of charters and other things of that nature, in order to serve our students better, I'd be interested to know what our evaluation of early college high schools have been historically, and if that's something we could consider in the future. Ooh. And then my last one was about the schedule and the ongoing conversation about moving it earlier in the year. Certainly there are schedule considerations for parents, working students in other districts, things of that nature. But I want to be sure that as part of our consideration, we're also considering our facilities with increasing triple-digit degree days, wildfires historically, and interruptions to education being one of the biggest difficulties in persistence for students. We want to consider when those occurrences frequently happen, and it's generally during this time of year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead and state your name.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Reset. I have 3 kids in the district, high school, middle school, and elementary school. I'm also an Esperanza alumni, so I've been in this district and lived here my whole life. I'm speaking on behalf of the changing of the academic school calendar. I strongly oppose it. We used to go back after Labor Day, Tuesday through Friday. Now we go back a week sooner, and we're only there for 3 days. Friday we're off, Monday we're off, so it's kind of, in my opinion, a wasted week. But regardless of that, I think my concern is that we have 22,312 students in the school district. TK through 8 is almost 15,000 of that. So high school students represent 7,500. I can't get numbers for who's in AP and who's in sports, so I mean, I guess split it, let's just say 50%. If 50% of those 7,500 students are in AP or in sports, which is the argument that I keep hearing of why the district and why a lot of people want to move the calendar, I guess my question would be, so 3,500 students are in AP classes that require testing to be done after the Christmas break, which I think that's an argument, and then 2 sports starting in the summer earlier. Not really understanding that. Regardless of all of that, I don't know why we're making the 1% adjust to the 99% of the majority. My student is not in AP or in sports. It doesn't affect her whatsoever, so I feel very strongly upon not changing the school calendar to accommodate specific students that either know full well, have a choice, going into AP classes. The pass rate's 86%. It's not like these kids are not studying or not failing. Most AP students aren't in sports anyway. So again, strongly opposed to making 15,000 families and students adjust their school calendar to start at the beginning. I personally like the 3 weeks of, cheaper summers and traveling and whatnot. It's been that way for, God, I'm 40, for a long time in this district. So I would just say that I would strongly oppose moving the academic calendar sooner than what we have right now, if anything after Labor Day. So, thank you.
Go ahead and state your name.
Okay. My name is Jeannie Paik, and I'm here again to comment about the calendar issue. First, I want to say that I'm not up here for myself. I'm up here for the 500 plus people who signed my petition. Since I started it, I remain committed, and you have those 500 plus names already. Second, as far as opinions and personal values go, they are all valid and equal. Those who love late summers don't have better or worse values than those who prefer more time for AP classes. The family who likes Hawaii in late August is not a better family than the one who likes Asia in early June. It's not a moral issue. No one can be the judge of which preference is better because every family is different. So what I want to say to the board is that you cannot play judge either. You'll never get anywhere trying to prioritize which opinion is more important, and it's not your job either. I think you have 2 options. One is to decide that the calendar is a purely subjective matter, a majority rules type of thing. If you want to consider opinions at all, then do it right and make it a completely fair and transparent vote. Send a ballot to every stakeholder in multiple languages so everyone understands, and give everyone the opportunity to cast their vote officially, fair and square. Let the people decide. The second option is to consider the calendar objectively. Leave out all opinions and make it a decision about students, what's in their best academic and athletic interests. That's the area that is your responsibility. You can be the judge of that. Just like you make other decisions, like leaving the school board association or hiring an education consultant, you just do it, no surveys. You have the autonomy to decide what's best within the goals of a public school education. And my friend is going to continue.
Jennifer Orahudos. But it's almost impossible to consider both options at the same time. You cannot balance educational interests with opinions. whether it's what you read on social media, what your friends tell you, or by tallying the number of emails you get. The only way to do both is to create two different schedule tracks. Or along a similar vein of thought, you can keep K through 8 traditional and start our high schools earlier, which is what some districts do. Your main responsibility is to make decisions in the best educational interests of our students and our schools, and to support and prepare students for the future. We didn't elect you to send ballots or gather opinions. I hope you focus on the objective and make the calendar about education, just like the majority of other districts have done. Let's look at this topic from another angle. What educational benefit is there to anyone by leaving the calendar the same? None at all. Some people say the numbers of AP IB students are too small to consider, but it depends on how you look at it. We can look at it in terms of the number of exams administered, not how many different students take them. Each exam should stand on its own. In 2022, a total of 4,112 AP exams plus 480 IB exams were administered among the 4 high schools. That's almost 4,600 exams given out of roughly 7,600 high school students. That's about 6 exams being given for every 10 students, or 1 exam per 1.7 students. That's a lot. One benefit not mentioned is that starting earlier will also give more time to prepare for state testing, CASP and LPAC, which will then better reflect what our students have actually learned. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, our remaining 3 include Miss Janet Chang, Jenny Bermer, and Nick Brown. Miss Chang, you will be first. Wherever she is. Miss Chang. Could somebody check and see if Miss Chang's out in the foyer area?
She's giving you this.
Okay, she's not. Okay. All right, then go ahead, Miss Bremer.
Hi, I'm Jenny Bremer. Can you hear me in the back? Okay. I know it's really hard to hear in the back. And thank you for saying my name correctly. I really appreciate that. I spoke last month about the same topic I want to talk about this month, and that is the naloxone that's in all of our schools. Again, I thanked you last month, everybody, for approving that. That's fantastic. After I spoke last month, I talked to my principal, who was so supportive and great, so kudos to Joey Davis. And but we found out that the naloxone is kept at the AED station, which the closest one to my classroom is across the quad behind the library. This is very problematic. Naloxone, if you know anything about it, needs to be administered immediately to keep the person alive while the ambulance gets there. I can't leave an OD kid with 37 kids freaking out to go over to get the AED, get it open, get it over to my room. The kid's dead by that point. We need to have these in our emergency backpacks. It costs nothing. It's a 13-minute video training. There's no downside here. The way we have it right now is like having the fire extinguisher at the library. By the time you get it, the building's burned down. And this is more important than our building. These are our kids. There is a organization called Solace Foundation of Orange County, and they offer naloxone training online, a 13-minute video, and they will send you free boxes. So for all the teachers and community members, if you have a kid, basically if you have a kid, it's a good idea to have, just like you'd have any other emergency supplies. So I implore you, please take action. Let's get this in our emergency backpacks so that we make sure we don't lose kids. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to hearing from you.
Go ahead, state your name.
My name is Nick Brown. I'm here addressing the Board of Education and the Superintendent about the recent consideration regarding the move of the start and end dates for the 2024-2025 school year. I am in opposition of this consideration because of the fact that it does not benefit elementary school students, middle school students, mini high school students, or faculty. It also would change the date of the first semester final for high schoolers, eliminating the possibility of studying for the final over winter break. These 2 weeks over winter break can help students prepare and catch up for finals. So moving the start and end date would take this ability away from the students that need the extra time the most. I am asking the board to please not change the school date to an earlier start and earlier end date. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our public comment. All great information. We will take an advisement for sure. Next, we'll come to our communications and board report. And we'll go ahead and start with Trustee Buck.
Well, happy September, beginning of the school year. I went out on the beginning of the first day and witnessed the miracle of the first day, like so many have said. I stopped by Rose Drive, then Wagner, then Van Buren, Morse, and Yorba Linda, and I started at 9:30 in the morning. And when I walked into classrooms, the kids were working, and I went from TK to every grade, and I was just amazed how immediately they were just on day one, an hour in, already engaged and learning and having a good time. There were a few outliers, I have to say, that were having some issues, but that's to be expected. I followed up the following week, the second week of school, and did my first visit at Rose Drive, which I like to kick off my school year with, as all my children went through Rose Drive. It was a little bittersweet. My youngest is also starting her senior year at Yorba Linda High School, so going back and having that first week, memory is very sweet, but brings a little tear to your eye. I did get to go to the El Dorado flag football game, women's flag football game. That was exciting to witness that for the first time and see them win. I went a little early thinking it was the varsity game, but I got to experience JV and varsity, so it was fun. I want to go back just a minute to one of the schools that I visited. So circling back to what you had mentioned about computer science, I was in one classroom, I believe it was 4th grade, and they had done a couple of surveys on what they liked best. The first one was, do they like math, science, social studies, or language arts? The majority of the students like science. But the one that we walked into initially was they were in separate areas of the room, and they had to pick if they liked movies, a TV show, watching TV, reading a book, or playing video games. I was stunned at the way that it all played out. There were 2 that liked to read books. There were 2 that liked to watch movies. There were 2 that liked to watch TV shows, and the rest of them all love video games, and that's what they do. So playing into the computer science, I think that is spot on with what our kids are interested in, and creating that opportunity for them to find something that they really love and build that into school is great. I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. We had our OC SBA Board of Directors meeting last week, and our new president this year is Lauren Brooks from Irvine Unified, and our vice president is Michelle Bartow from Newport Mesa. We have a dinner meeting coming up in October. We've got a lot of conflicts that night, so I'm not sure if any of us will actually be making it. I'm going to be at the Women in Industry event. I know we have the State of the City for Yorba Linda as well at the same time. So a lot of things happening at the beginning of the school year, but I'll make sure I keep you in the loop on all of that. And then the CNAC, which is the Child Nutrition Advisory Council, our first quarterly meeting of the school year is coming up on 9/25, which is 2 weeks from yesterday. And I'll come back right after that and report what we're looking at. It's our quarterly meeting, and we're still working on the same things we have been regarding looking at ways to get more time for kids at lunch and a variety of other things. But I'll report back as soon as we have our meeting and tell you about all the progress. And that's it for me. Oh, and congratulations to El Dorado winning the bell game.
Excellent. Okay, let's see. We would have Miss Anderson if she has anything she wants to put some input in. Marilyn?
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. A little louder, though.
President Youngblood, can you hear me?
I can now, yes. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. I just first like to thank the board for allowing me to participate at home as I am recuperating from some illnesses. I'm grateful for that. Second, I would love to welcome Aiden, and I look forward to getting to know him better in the next couple months of school board meetings. And I'm grateful for his service to our district and representing our students. I was able to, for this month, I was able to attend the symposium and State of the District. And it's always great to reconnect with our leadership in our district and through our city. I also attended the summer graduation with President Youngblood, and it was great to honor our students from 3 different high schools that finished their diplomas over the summer. I also attended my very first girls flag football game and got to watch the El Dorado varsity and JV participate. And it was just really fun watching the game and figuring out kind of the differences. And I look forward to attending more of those games this season. Also, I just wanted to make a shout out. They're doing a Young Civic Leaders Academy starting October 11th through November 15th. It's 6 weeks every Wednesday where high school students can come and learn more about local government and how they can be involved and be active citizens in our community. And if you want more information, I have, you can contact Tara Campbell. She's a council member at City of Yorba Linda. And also Mrs. Newton, where you turn in your blue cards, has a couple flyers if you're interested. It's open to high school students. They get community service hours. And it really is good exposure to how cities function and manage. And that is all I have for my report today.
Awesome. Thank you, Trustee Anderson. Get feeling better and get back to us soon. Okay, Trustee Frazier, did you have anything?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Again, I am sorry to not be able to be there tonight. Unavoidable business conflict, but I'm glad that we have the opportunity, the technology to be able to still attend, even though not in person. Really excited for the start of the school year, getting to see kids back in classrooms and buses running around the streets is pretty great. I've been able to attend, actually, I'm kind of partial to the girls flag football, seeing that 2 of my girls, both of my girls, are on the Esperanza team, so I'm a little bit partial, but I have gotten to see 3 of our 4 high school teams play. It's been really a lot of fun. I'm excited to see where that goes. And getting the thing that I've noticed, at least with the Esperanza team, there's a lot of girls that play different sports that normally wouldn't interact. We've got softball players, we've got lacrosse players, we've got wrestlers, we've got water polo players, and we've got basketball players. And they've been able to connect in ways that they hadn't before. So that's one thing I really love about team sports is connecting with people and creating relationships that, whether they are long lasting or not, it's just a great opportunity to interact with other people and just learn to work together. So I'm excited about this new change. And then I do just want to make one more comment about the direction that Dr. Chernis is looking into with the technology and the science and the everything related to the new potential of having a specialty school in the district. I think that's extremely important. As I've said almost every board meeting, I'm a huge fan of our career technical education pathways and having more opportunity for students to gain skills that will further them outside the classroom is what we're here for. It just comes back to the State of the District statement that Dr. Chernis gave for everyone at the kickoff meeting, that we're trying to prepare these children for jobs that don't even exist yet. And I think that's one of the huge areas where we can make a big play for these kids to be successful in the future, is by adding something specifically related to that. Also, being a math education major and having a math teaching certificate in the state of Missouri, I like the idea of some more traditional math as well. So that's all I've got. I'm sorry that I'm not here, but you all look beautiful on screen. I can see you from where I am. So thank you very much.
Excellent, Todd, and get back here safe. All right, Ms. Blades.
So yeah, I was able to go to the State of the School District, and I thought it was phenomenal. I love the message. I'm very excited about all of our interventions that are going to be put in place in the return of foundational math to our students. I think that that's key to help raise our scores and get us back to where we need to be. I am so excited for what's going to happen at Bernardo with this computer science. If it's a charter, if it's a GATE, or magnet program, whatever this is going to be, it's just going to be phenomenal. And I think it's just going to be such an asset to our school, and it's going to really give our students, something different, to be involved in, and really cater to the people who, like, honestly, I probably wouldn't go that way. I was like the English, and I wouldn't be in that class. But I think for the kids that are involved in it, I think it's amazing. I am very, very excited tonight that we are enhancing our middle school sports. When I got to the board, all we were doing was the track meet, and there was no middle school sports whatsoever. So tonight is extremely exciting to me to see that this is like really taking off. This was kind of what I was envisioning back in 2021, and so to see it fulfilled in 2023, I'm very, very excited. I checked in with Travis Ranch, and the walls that have been put up are working much better, much quieter for the students, and so I'm really happy to see that. I am planning, if I can get out of bed on Saturday morning, to go to the Esperanza High School flag football game at 8:15 in the morning. I think it's at El Dorado, so maybe I'll make the 9. I don't know, maybe the 9:15. But I'm really excited about that, and I keep telling all the girls when I see them, I said, back when I was in high school, we had one game, and it was the Powder Puff game. And that's what they called it, Powder Puff. And I think it was juniors and seniors every year, so we had one game. So I'm very, very jealous. I'm super jealous of this, because I think that would have been an awesome, awesome sport to play. We go into a lot of football, and a lot of water polo games, and so that's been keeping us really busy. Tomorrow I'm supposed to go to a soccer game at Bernardo at 4 o'clock to watch that. And so I'm just super excited. I've heard nothing but good reports that are going on at back to school. The teachers seem excited. The principals seem excited. Our students are excited. And so I just think that this has been a great start to the new year. And I cannot wait to see where this district goes in this next year. Thank you. Oh, can I mention one more thing? One more thing. Okay, so somebody mentioned, and I was going to mention this regardless, about the video that I was on about all of these parental rights notifications. And so I don't know if anybody actually watched the video that has commented on that, but what I did say about the video was I don't agree with the Chino Valley policy. And so that's not something that I would want to bring to Placentia-Yorba, Linda. And I think that we can do better to serve all students and to treat all students the same. And so that was what I said in the video, was that I believe that all students, if they're in any type of distress, if they're in any type of whatever, they all need to have the same attention. We should not be focusing on one group of people. And so that is what I said in the video. So just to set the record straight, that's not a policy that I'm looking to adopt in our district. So thank you.
All right, thank you for that clarification. All right, let's see. For myself, I did attend the State of the District address. It was definitely put out well. Loved seeing all of our managers and leadership there. It was a scary video that you showed. I'm still having some nightmares about AI and how it could progress. So thank you for that. Aside from that, I went to the summer graduation with Trustee Anderson. It's amazing to have students that are determined to get their diploma And in order to do so, these are some self-motivated kids, and I was really honored to be there. So next, I went to the first responder ceremony that George Key had recently. It was amazing to see Principal Allen. She did an amazing job, and to see these kids out there, waving flags and smiling and just being happy. It was a wonderful sight to see. It definitely makes you feel like, you know what, this is what it's all about, the freedom in which these kids are being presented here, and to just see the joy in their face was awesome. And all the teachers that were working with these kids, phenomenal. I don't know how they do it. It definitely takes a certain person to work with our special needs students, and I truly appreciate it. Let's see. Also went to the Bell game. Anybody Bell game? What do you think? Holy cow! By the time I got in there, the first period was almost done. It was packed. So good game. Congratulations, El Dorado. It was really great to see, and I wish I'd have went over to Miss Anderson's place to park my car, because I must have drove around that place a few blocks a dozen times to find a spot. So great time. I'm really looking forward to this school year. We have a lot of really incredible things that are going to be we're going to be voting on as a board, and I'm looking forward to putting that out for the community to see, and watching our district just increase in not just the numbers that the U.S. World News or U.S. News reported. I think we're going to be doing better, and you're going to see those numbers continue upward. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you again. And that's all that I have, so we will continue on. Next section we have is our action items. Looks like general function. We're just going to move past our general function since we already placed Aiden on here. So congratulations and welcome aboard, Aiden. Get to hear most of us ramble for a long period of time. So brings us into our business services. I'll need a motion for the business services.
I'll make a motion. We approve the June 30th, 2023 fund balances and unaudited actuals as reflected in the SAC's financial report.
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Buck, and seconded by Ms. Blades. All right, welcome to the dais, Mr. Gary Stein. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Quick mic check for my friends in the back. Can everybody hear me? Yes? Okay, perfect. So, thank you and good evening. Tonight we'll be reviewing with you our unaudited actuals report for fiscal year 22-23. Quick review of the agenda. We will be going over the unaudited actual financials for 22-23. We'll also talk about our 23-24 budget and the changes that are occurring based on the state's adopted budget, what that does to our projected LCFF funding, to our multi-year projections, and also present an overview of all of the funds managed by the district. And we'll finish it up with budget timelines, next steps, and challenges ahead. So the unaudited actuals report has been included in your packet. It's available online as well. Pursuant to Education Code 42100, it requires us to present the unaudited actuals to the governing board on or before September 15th. After approval, the data will be submitted to the county and to the state. And then we will return to the board in January of 2024 with our final audited financial reports after our external auditors complete their work. So first, let's take a look at our specific components of our ending general fund balance for last year. If you recall, in June, we projected that the district would close with $65.1 million in our unrestricted ending fund balance. Our unaudited actual unrestricted ending fund balance came in at $66 million. So the difference is $900,000, which roughly equates to 0.26% variance based on our estimated expenditures. What you'll notice is that we have a $73.4 million restricted reserve balance. This is largely due to the very large restricted programs that we'll be carrying over into 23-24. Examples include the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant, Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, and other locally restricted funds. So wanted to cover the changes real quick from the May revision into what we received in the adopted budget. The governor proposed an 8.22% COLA. That thankfully made it into the adopted budget. What the governor also proposed is a reduction to the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Discretionary Block Grant of $1.8 billion. The legislature decided to only reduce that block grant by $200 million. And so thankfully, what their net result for the PYL is $6.5 million in additional funding in that block grant. Similarly, the proposed reduction of $1.1 billion from the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant was reduced to, 2.5 was reduced to 1.1, and the net result for the district is $4 million in additional funding in that program. So this slide just has a summary of what we just talked about. In addition, it adds in an overview of Prop 98 funding for the last, for 3 years. And so, as you can see, Prop 98 funding has been reduced from its peak in 21-22. Roughly $2.3 billion less is going to schools over the past 2 years. So we're going to take a quick look at what this all means for our local control funding formula projections and our multi-year projections. So as you can see on screen, our projected LCFF revenue for 23-24 is around $286 million. You can see the difference down there at the bottom section, so around $12 million extra. You can see 24-25 and 25-26, we're projecting a relatively flat revenue with some actual decreases in revenue in 24-25 and a very modest increase in 25-26. This is the result of our declining enrollment and our attendance rates being lower than what we typically have, so our 93.5% attendance rate. What that does to our funded COLA, so as an example of 23-24, the state provided us with 8.22%. That's what's listed in the statutes. However, as a fund, we are funded at 4.69. And the reason that we're funded less is because of our declining enrollment and our attendance that keeps declining. So, lower than expected attendance. In 24-25, that yields us, we'll actually have less money coming in as a result of both of those items, and then a modest increase 25-26. Now, the good news, or I would say good news, is that our multi-year projections still have us at a surplus for the 3 years out. But what you'll notice in that surplus is that it's declining year over year. So we start off at 10.6 that we ended with in 22-23, and that gets eaten up to a little over $2 million by the time we hit 25-26. Again, that's the result of our declining enrollment and our attendance. Now, this also assumes that we maintain the same staffing but our expenditures continue to grow, and we'll talk about some of those expenditures. Now, before I go into the other district funds, I wanted to turn it over to Dr. Chernis to say a few words.
Yeah, so historically the board we haven't been presenting our other funds, and so it's important we start doing that. Mr. Stein's going to go through our other funds here, and then we're going to have a study session to look at these other funds and talk about how we're going to allocate this money. We're talking about facility money, we're talking about cafeteria, food service money, child development money. So I think it's important moving forward that these funds are always presented to the board and the community in every budget presentation we do.
Can I break in? I just went back 4 years and I noticed that none of these other funds, like in the excess of like $43 million, were ever reported to the board. So my question is why? And I know obviously this is not you doing this, but why would this happen? Is this legal? Is it a best practice? I mean, that's $43 million that the board has no ideas in our district.
So the funds are in, I can answer that. The funds are in the budget presented to the board that the board approves. That's a big document, granted, but the funds are all there. I can't speak to the thinking of the past superintendents, the past fiscal folks, but I can tell you moving forward, this will be part of our presentations, and the board really needs to understand what money we have and how we're going to allocate it. And like I said, we need a study session. As Ms. Stein's going to go through, we're talking about tens of millions of dollars in these accounts that the board is approving, and so the board needs to be able to have a say in how we're allocating those funds. So I can just tell you moving forward what's going to happen. I will say, these presentations are all funds budgets. That means all the funds, not just the general fund. And I know that's confusing to people that don't understand budgets, but general fund is what you just saw. What you're about to see is all of our other restricted accounts that are also really important for the day-to-day operations of a school district.
And do we know what the reason would be not to report the funds to the board this entire time? I mean, I'm sure, I don't think anybody here knows, but if we were to guess, I mean, nothing legal's been happening, correct? Like,
it's not illegal to not put this in a presentation. Like I said, the funds are all in the budgets.
okay.
The funds are all included in the SACS form that's been included, that's in part of the packet. A lot of these are program specific funds, and so you'll see that once we start going through that. And so, as you know, our general fund is comprised of the vast majority of what we do. It's what we have a lot more discretion over, and so that's what has been focused on in the past. But we also maintain a lot of other funds for specific programs and uses and for reporting purposes. So I'm going to just go through these quickly. I don't want to have 45 minutes worth of funds to talk everybody through, but so I'm going to refer to funds with numbers. General fund is 01, but we don't say that a lot. So I'm going to say, when I say Fund 8, that's ASB, but Fund 1 is General Fund. So Fund 8 is for ASB. We use this to report the summary level transactions for our associated student body programs. So we don't maintain the funds here at the district office. They're still maintained at the sites. They're maintained in ASB accounts, but we're required by law to report them in Fund 8. So that we're reporting all the revenues, all of the expenditures in Fund 8. So that's what that is for. Fund 12 is our Child Development Fund. And so any of the money we receive from federal, state, local sources for our child development programs needs to be reported through Fund 12. In our district, we have a very robust child care and preschool program. The funds are used to support staffing and facility needs of that program. And Dr. Lopez is doing a great job on that side. So.
Can I make a comment about child development?
Please.
So there's been, I've heard a number of times that our preschools and our child care don't fund themselves. But this clearly looks like that they are self-sustaining and there's actually an income.
We actually have an income with our preschools.
So expanding our preschools and our child care and all of that is a huge benefit. It doesn't impact us negatively in the financial area.
It's a huge benefit.
Thank you.
Yes.
We were told that. Oh wow. Okay. Good. All good news.
Yeah, I actually just ran through the budget for preschool. We collected more last year in revenues than we spent to operate our preschools, and so that's the expectation moving forward.
Right. Thank you. Fund 13 is our cafeteria fund, or it's what's referred to as a food service program. Our amazing nutrition services team, led by Suzanne Morales, served a record 3.1 million meals last year, in case you're wondering. A huge feat. But you can tell by the fiscal prudence of our team by that ending fund balance there. And so, similar to childcare, this also produces a revenue stream or a profit. But that can only be used for nutrition services, and we're working with our team to create a plan to spend down those balances in order to address capacity issues and needs of the program at various sites.
And let me speak to that as well. So what happened when the state started, the federal government and then the state started fully funding meals, is a lot of kids took the meals. And so it's become, last year alone, we saw, a surplus of how much? $5 or $6 million. So this is when I say we need a study session, we need to come back to the board with a plan for how to allocate these resources. Do we have kitchens that are too small? Do we have facilities that need improvement? Do we have equipment we need to purchase? This is, quite a bit of funds, and so there's got to be we need to be, laser focused on making sure these resources are spent well, because this is not typical to have these kind of surpluses in your cafeteria fund.
If I could just add,
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Todd.
So these are all components of the restricted fund balance, correct?
No, these are components of completely separate funds than Fund 1. Within Fund 1, there is an unrestricted and a restricted. These funds we're going over now are completely separate from that, and the board hasn't reviewed these yet.
Oh.
Okay, so what I would like to add, I'm thrilled because I've been visiting kitchens and things for years, talking about we need so much more infrastructure to build into this. I really want to see how we can leverage this and look at the state grants, because there are cafeteria fund grants that we might be able to do even more with what we have, and so that if this isn't an ongoing effect, then we're definitely building some infrastructure that can support our kids and healthy nutrition. As we're building sports and healthy bodies, we need to make sure they have healthy food as well, and fruits and vegetables and all of the above. So thank you.
And no Lunchables.
No Lunchables.
So along with that, thank you for that segue. We're also planning, the team is striving to ensure that at least 40% of all of our menus are scratch cooked here at PYL, and that we are using minimally processed items. So I want to make sure I say that too. Moving on, Fund 14, a deferred maintenance fund. This is used for major repairs and replacements of things such as plumbing, air conditioning, electrical, roofing, and flooring. As you can imagine, PYL is a very large district, has 37 sites. There is a constant stream of deferred maintenance projects that we're working on. A number of flooring and roofing projects are planned for the 23-24 school year, and our stellar maintenance and facilities team, led by Brad Runge, is doing a great job with that. Fund 25, capital facilities. This fund is used, so the revenues for this fund come from our developer fees, and they also come from the dissolution, as the right word, of our redevelopment agencies, our RDAs locally. Those funds can be used for facilities purposes. We use this to supplement deferred maintenance and address other site needs. Every year, our maintenance team our facilities team goes out and meets with every principal to find out what we need to have done at the campuses.
This is another, large amount of money. In this account, we do get revenues coming in. Developer fees, when people do additions on their homes, when developments happen, there's a fee that comes to the school district. It goes to the city and then paid to the school district, and that's a developer fee. So we, in one of the last couple of years, we got $2.5 million in developer fees. There's also this RDA money we're getting. So these funds are very much, while they must go towards facilities, they're very flexible. It's quite flexible in what we can use them for. There's some limitations on some of the developer fee projects, but again, we're going to need to sit down with the board, have a study session, review these funds, and review our priorities. We've talked, Mr. Stein and I have met with our executive director of facilities, talking about what are the key priorities, what are areas that were never touched in the last bond, bathrooms, locker rooms. Our pools are in the need of upgrades. Those are expensive projects. So there's quite a bit to do that we're going to have to come back to the board with the funds we have and what priorities we have, and get some guidance from the board as to how to proceed with these funds.
Can I ask a follow-up question? And this might be this fund or it might be another one. When you mentioned the redevelopment agencies. So when we did our bond measure and we got all of the upgrades for schools, and we were in the final stages of finishing everything, that's when the redevelopment agencies dissipated. They were taken away. And the last bit of funding that we were going to be utilizing for building Yorba Linda High School and Valadas and Melrose and doing all those upgrades, we weren't able to use it. It fell out from underneath us. So we had to go out and get a cab to cover that last bit of funding that we were counting on for the redevelopment agency. We went back and as a result sued the city of Yorba Linda to gain some of that back and won. Is this some of that money that we have set aside to pay for those cabs in the future?
You're jumping ahead of me. No, so that's a fund that
We'll
comes
get there.
next.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the next fund.
Okay.
But yes, you're right. We are using one of our funds to service debt.
Yeah.
So this is not that fund. So this is all flexible facilities fees that we could utilize.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
So actually two more until we get there. But so Fund 35 is for the county school facilities fund. This fund is related to previous facility programs, so from 1998 through 2016. The money that's left in there is left over. It was related to new facilities construction, modernization, or hardship grants. We will be using this in the 23-24 year on facilities programs or facilities projects. And this is the fund we're talking about. So Fund 40, our capital outlay, this fund is primarily used to record the revenue from the Yorba Linda settlement that you referred to, and the repayment of debt service for our certificates of participation issued in 2016 and 2021. So we got cabs, as you mentioned, thank you, and then we refinanced those at a lower interest rate, which is great for our taxpayers. And then the Yorba Linda, we've structured it in a way where the Yorba Linda settlement actually makes those payments for us. So the revenue comes in, the payments go out every single year, and it covers those payments, plus a little bit extra. It covers everything up through 2033-34, but not the final year of our payments, which in our payments at that year would be, our final payment for our COPs will be about $10.3 million. So of that 13 million you see at the end, the ending fund balance, 10.3 will be reserved off for that last payment, but the rest it can be used for facilities projects.
Great, thank you.
Bond 51 is really a place where it's for Fund 51. This has to do with our recording of our bond revenues and expenditures. The PYO community graciously approved bonds in 2002-2008. This is data that we received from the county auditor. We posted into this fund. It's all just figures that we put in this fund to make sure it's reported on our financials, but it's not money that's actually sitting in an account. And then last is Fund 67. Our self-insurance fund is used to separate monies that we have that we use for our workers' comp, our health and welfare benefits, and also property and liability coverage. And so these funds are critical to providing for the health and safety of our district staff and property. So those are all the funds. Now, just want to quickly go through next steps. So we have our first interim report in December. I think that we reported this out, but just in case you're not aware, we have a mid-year LCAP update that needs to take place every single year in February moving forward. That's a new component of the law. And so we will be bringing that to you in February. We have our second interim in March, by March 15th, and then we have, of course, our public hearings and our adoption for our LCAP and budget in June. So during that whole time, we'll be working on the 24-25 LCAP, and we look forward to working with you and all of our team on that. The challenges ahead are the same that you've heard many times before. So we have declining enrollment in our school district. Our attendance rate remains low compared to our historic trends. Our costs for step and column and pensions and welfare are all still increasing. We're still experiencing inflationary cost increases on everything that we're buying, in addition to our supply chain issues that we're running into. And so we're facing that, along with a lot of our one-time funds that are expiring. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank my fiscal services team for putting together the unaudited actuals and the presentation. Thank you very much. And I know that was a lot to cover, so I just want to see if there's any questions from any.
Questions?
I have no further questions. I interrupted enough.
Trustee Anderson, Trustee Frazier.
I'm just glad that we're looking into this. Looking forward to see what we can get done.
Okay. All right.
No questions here.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Awesome.
Aye.
Excellent. Motion passes. It carries 5+1 for a student board member.
Do you need a motion?
Okay, I'll need a motion on curriculum and instruction.
I'll make a motion to adopt the arts, music, and instructional materials block grant.
Second.
Okay. Dr. Young, if you would.
Sure, thank you. Okay, good evening, President Youngblood, members of the board, Dr. Chernus, and Executive Cabinet. It is my pleasure to present to you this evening our proposed plan for the spending of state funds we received through Assembly Bill 181, also known as the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant, which are available to spend through the 25-26 school year. Districts are required to develop a plan, and it is up to each governing board to adopt and approve the plan prior to spending the funds. You will recall that a previous version of this plan was brought before you on April 11th, 2023. The direction of the board at that time was to wait for our new superintendent to be in place to provide input on how we wanted to allocate these one-time funds. Since that time, we have examined our district-wide needs, conferred with Dr. Chernus, and surveyed our visual and performing arts teachers as well as site administrators. We are pleased to report that PYLUSD has been allocated approximately $13.8 million to be spent over the next 3 years. These funds are one-time in nature and provide an opportunity to check things off our wish list and think outside the box when it comes to meeting the needs of various individuals across our schools and programs, primarily in the area of visual and performing arts. You'll recall that these funds can be spent for 5 overarching purposes. The first allowable expenditure may be for obtaining standards-aligned professional development and instructional materials for any of the content areas listed on the slide before you. Secondly, these funds may also be used for professional development and materials for improving school climate. Another allowable use is to develop diverse library book collections, as well as operations and personal protective equipment. This funding works in conjunction with Proposition 28, Arts and Music Education Funding. You will recall that Prop 28 funds will be assigned directly to each school site, with 80% of the monies required to hire additional arts and music staff. You will see that we are recommending that these funds be primarily assigned for items other than visual and performing arts staffing, given the additional funding that they will soon expect to receive, the sites will soon expect to receive through Prop 28. These are estimated to be just over $3.5 million to the district. We will provide more details to the sites on what their allocations will be once we receive it from the California Department of Education later this year. But before we look at how we can improve our visual and performing arts programs, let's take a look at what we currently offer. Our current elementary performing arts program offers strings, band, and vocal music to students in grades 3 through 6. Through Prop 28, we will hire 2 additional elementary vocal teachers to be able to provide an equitable musical experience for students in the upper grades. At the secondary level, we currently offer band, orchestra, choir, theater, and dance. Our current elementary visual arts program consists of teacher-led art units and meet the masters at various schools through their respective PTA funding. At the secondary level, you see that we currently offer a wide variety of visual arts courses for students to choose to take as an elective. On the screen, you will see the feedback that was provided by our elementary visual and performing arts teachers and administrators who were asked to share what they felt were a priority. As you can see, there are 5 priorities that emerged as high or medium priority, 2 of which have been embedded into this plan: providing professional development and purchasing additional instruments for students. To address the 3 other priorities that have emerged, we will recommend that sites utilize Prop 28 funds once received to expand the vocal music program to K3, and to implement a new K-6 visual arts or digital arts program, as 80% of that funding must be dedicated to new staffing. Open-ended responses from elementary staff also ask for standalone music facilities, additional storage for musical instruments, as well as increased technology in the classrooms to support music education. Now on the screen, you'll see the feedback that was provided by our secondary visual and performing arts teachers and administrators, who were asked to share what they felt were a priority. There are 5 priorities that emerged, 4 of which we have embedded into this plan. We recommend that sites utilize Prop 28 funds to hire additional instrumental coaches, as 80% of that funding must be dedicated to staffing, and that we will be utilizing this current funding to provide professional development opportunities, additional curriculum and materials, upgrading classroom technology to support music education, and providing additional instruments to students. Open-ended responses from secondary staff asked for additional funding for consumable art supplies for our visual arts programs, as well as purchasing cameras and tripods for our photography programs. Based on the feedback provided by our educational partners throughout the year, there are 3 major categories that we will be devoting this funding for. First is the enhancement of visual and performing arts programs. Second is the expansion of our early childhood education programs. And third is to increase access to activities and athletics programs. Before you is an overall breakdown of the suggested expenditures by category for each year. As you can see, nearly 2/3 of this funding will be dedicated to enhancing our visual and performing arts programs. Nearly 1/4 of the funding will be dedicated to increasing access to athletics and activities programs, and the remaining funding will be dedicated to the expansion of early childhood education. I will now provide more details of our suggested expenditures for each category. We propose that roughly $8.8 million of the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant funds be dedicated to VAPA, which represents nearly 64% of the funds. Firstly, we will restore our VAPA coordinator to full-time status in order to cover the additional oversight that we anticipate will be needed for the increase in the visual and performing arts programs, events, and staff, in particular with the additional arts and music Prop 28 funds that will be arriving. Based off of your suggestion, we will be providing the Meet the Masters program for all elementary schools so that it is not dependent on PTA funds. We will allocate funding to purchase new instruments as well as to maintain and repair existing equipment at our schools. We will be replacing our middle and high school band uniforms over the next 3 years. We will be replacing our high school kilns. We will continue to invest in Esperanza High School Theater by completing lighting and sound upgrades. And we will replace and purchase trailers for our band programs, while also providing professional development for our staff and coaching and support hours, as well as just a more discretionary miscellaneous supplies and services to support our visual and performing arts. Our second focus area is early childhood education. We'll be allocating nearly 12% of the funds to offset the related costs involved in the expansion of our preschool and TK programs in accordance with state UPK legislation, resulting in the addition of extra classrooms at many of our elementary sites. We're allocating funds to cover instructional materials and equipment to meet the growing needs of our early childhood education program, classrooms, students, and teachers. Our third focus area will be increasing access to activities and athletics, where we will allocate roughly 24% of the funds. First, we will ensure that every elementary school student has the opportunity to participate in a culminating overnight experience, regardless of their financial status or if their school offers a 6th grade or not. We will also provide 1 additional high school coaching stipend per program and funding for additional athletic equipment to offset the contribution of our athletic programs, parents, and boosters.
Will you repeat that one more time, please?
Sure. We're going to be providing 1 additional high school coaching stipend per athletic program, as well as discretionary funding to provide additional athletic equipment to offset the contribution of our programs, parents, and boosters. And
Question
finally-
about that one.
Sure.
So is that one coaching stipend per sport?
Correct.
Even for sports that have like 7 coaches versus 2 coaches versus 5 coaches, or is it going to be broken up more based on how many participants there are in the sport?
So we're still working on the best way to do that. So you can think of this money as of today as a placeholder amount with the hopes of one, but we want to figure out what's the most equitable based on students' needs. But the bottom line is we want to reduce the amount of money boosters are having to pay, parents are having to pay for coaches. So that's part of this is to offset that money so parents don't have to pay for coaches.
Yep, good, thank you.
Could I just add on to that a little bit? So each of these years, it's going to be $270,000 for the high school coaching support. I really do want to get a bigger breakdown on what that's going to look like, in addition to what it looks like for a coach, what that salary might be, if they're teaching or not teaching, so that we get a bigger perspective. Because we get just fragments of what those stipends are, but it really is hard to imagine what it looks like year round.
Yeah, it's really hard. So much of it is dependent on how many kids are in programs as well. So it looks different everywhere. But we are working on that. So we will get that to the board.
Thanks.
Okay, and finally, we'll also be expanding our middle school sports program to include 5 events with the addition of wrestling, as well as providing more scrimmage opportunities between the middle schools throughout each season leading up to the culminating tournament.
I have a question on that one. So we're adding wrestling, but what is the breakdown for girls and boys in that? And are we using the sports money to impact all of the students?
Yeah, the goal is for as many girls as boys to compete in wrestling. And we're also looking at, so we'll have volleyball, wrestling,
Track, cross country, and you said basketball.
basketball. Yeah.
I will say that wrestling is hot right now, and there are a ton of girls, especially the girls at Esperanza.
Well,
They
we've had some national champions.
Yeah, they've
for
had
sure.
some apps. So I think wrestling is, and then also too, a lot of these wrestlers, they're bringing jujitsu backgrounds with them too. I have a cousin who's I think 8 or 10, and she's at these tournaments, wrestling tournaments and jujitsu tournaments every weekend, and she is a stud. So, and you can see these tournaments. I mean, they're just packed with people. So I think that the wrestling program is an amazing program to add to middle school.
Why would we choose wrestling versus soccer, for example?
So the good thing about wrestling is you don't need any equipment. You just show up. And so it's great for all kids, as many girls as boys, as Ms. Blades mentioned, are doing it. The outdoor sports are sometimes harder to program because we have those soccer fields are being used already by other organizations. So there's a few different reasons, but we have talked about soccer. It is a possibility of looking to bring that as well.
Well, as we get into further in the consent calendar, we have all of those things coming up. I want to make sure that it's sustainable and that we continue to build that in for forever, and training our people and getting that process in place would be great.
Yeah, we also hired a middle school sports coordinator, which is Sarah Barton. So we paid her a few extra days to coordinate all of this because we really want an organized, real middle school sports program. And she's great, and she's a former PE teacher, and she's already hit the ground running.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
I am disappointed, however, I didn't hear pickleball in that. So I'm hoping the next time
It's
that
in there somewhere.
this comes around, pickleball will be added.
Definitely take that into consideration. Okay. So as a reminder, the examples provided in this plan this evening are certainly not exhaustive. They do tend to be more generic in nature to allow us the flexibility to continue to adapt over the 3 years to adjust to the needs of our community. And so it is my pleasure this evening to ask for your approval to adopt this plan, allowing us to extend these exciting and enriching learning experiences to our students. I welcome any additional questions or feedback that you have at this time.
My only comment is I am so happy that we held this because there was no real comprehensive plan the last time that this was brought forward. And so I think this was a great decision by our board to hold this until the arrival of Dr. Chernus. And I just thank you for all your hard work, and we really appreciate it.
This seems very comprehensive and hits a lot of places. And so I'm impressed with this. I want to make sure that we're not doing too heavy instructional materials, and make sure that we're getting into the classroom and making sure it's impacting the kids. So as long as the instructional materials are directly related, I'm supportive.
Are there any questions from our two off-campus sites?
I just wanted to add, President Youngblood, I'm really excited that we're finally moving forward on this money, and it seems to me that the bulk of this money is really going to go to the kids, where their kids are actually going to see tangible results in their sports or in their music or arts programs, and we're going to get to see a lot of that. And I look forward to seeing how Proposition 28 funds are really going to support this to make it long-term, not just for the next 3 years that this money has to be spent by, and especially expanding the arts and music in our lower grades in our elementary schools. I just feel like those kids are really missing that key component, and I'd like to see that really expanded and to see what our district has to offer our younger elementary students. Thank you.
Awesome. Todd, did you have anything?
No, I'm glad that we're getting this going. This is, all of the things that are being added or enhanced are super important. And I think the increasing the junior high sports and getting the art stuff. I mean, I noticed Meet the Masters is in there. Like, there's so many things from a art side, and we're elementary music. But I agree with, I think what Trustee Anderson said, saying I want to make sure that we can do this long term, and it's not just a 3-year plan. So building this into future budgets and making sure we continue to support all of these great programs for our students is really important to me, and I'm excited about it.
All right. Me too. I'm very excited about that. All right. So if there's no more questions, let's go ahead and take our vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent.
Aye.
All right. We have motion carries. Motion carries 5 plus our student board member. Excellent. Thank you. This brings us into our human resources portion. Let me go ahead and have a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 23-09 to designate the week of October 8th to the 14th of 2023 as the week of the school administrator.
I'll second.
All right. Ms. Anderson seconded it. Okay. Dr. Gates, give us a history on this.
So the Week of the Administrator is designated to really take a look and at our administrators and the hard work that they do to support teaching and learning throughout the district. And this year, and we invite back the administrator of the year last year, who is, and I'm totally blanking on Kathleen Napke, and she will read our resolution for our Week of the Administrator this year.
Nice.
Mrs. Nappy.
Mrs. Napke.
Good evening to the entire board, and thank you for inviting me today. Whereas leadership matters for California's public education system and the more than 6 million students it serves, whereas school administrators are passionate, lifelong learners who believe in the value of quality public education, and whereas the title school administrator is a broad term used to define many education leadership posts, superintendents, assistant superintendents, principals, assistant principals, special education and adult education leaders, curriculum and assessment leaders, school business officials, classified educational leaders, and other school district employees are considered administrators. And whereas providing quality service for student success is paramount for the profession. And whereas research shows great schools are led by great principals, and great districts are led by great superintendents. These site leaders are supported by extensive administrative networks throughout the state. And whereas the state of California has declared the second full week of October as the week of the School Administrator in Education Code 44015, and whereas the future of California's public education system depends upon the quality of its leadership, now therefore be it resolved that the Placentia-Yorba Linda Unified School District joins with the State Board of Education declaring October 8th through the 14th, 2023 as the week of the School Administrator. Be it further resolved by the Placentia-Yorba Linda Unified School District that all school leaders should be commended for their many outstanding contributions, service, and dedication to the advancement of student achievement.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Are there any questions? No. Trustee Frazier, Anderson?
Nope.
All right.
Let's vote.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent.
Aye.
Awesome. So motion carries 5+1. Thank you. Okay, this portion is going to be our consent calendar. The actions proposed for the consent calendar items are consistent with the approved practices of the district and are deemed routine in nature. The trustees received board agenda backup information in advance of the scheduled meetings and are prepared to vote with the knowledge on the block vote items. Let me first see if there's anything needing pulled. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to pull 22.1 and 25.1.
22.1 and 25.1. Okay. Are there any others? 22.1, 25.1. Okay, so I'll need a motion to go ahead and approve the remainder.
I'll make a motion to approve the remainder of the consent calendar.
A second.
Okay, Ms. Carrie Buck. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent.
Aye.
Sorry. Okay, motion carries 5+ our student board member. Let's go ahead and look at 22.1.
22.1, I'd like to nominate as a replacement Marilyn Anderson for the Bridges at Kramer Place Community Advisory Board in place of the other recommendation of Mrs. Leandra Blades per President Sean Youngblood. And the reason why I do this is because Bridges at Kramer Place is in Maryland's area and affects her constituents the most. And I think she would be the best person to fit that role.
Okay. Anybody else have a comment on that?
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with the way it is.
Okay.
That was
Trustee
just
Anderson?
there's the motion. We need a second.
I needed a second. I already have a second. Okay. So on 22.1, the request was to have Miss Marilyn Anderson. I'll need a motion for that.
Motion made.
Okay, and then I'll need a second for that. Is there anyone?
I'll second it.
All right, Miss Anderson seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, can we have a discussion first?
We can, sure, go ahead.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to say, I've worked really hard in developing relationships with that community in that area. And I feel like because of my relationships I've cultured with that community, that I will be able to openly communicate with the advisory council if there's any issues from the constituents. This is just an advisory council. They report back to the County Board of Supervisors. So, and where the Bridges is located it's located in close proximity to some of our schools, as well as some of the drop-off areas, because it's an evening night facility. So the residents at the facility are dropped off in certain locations throughout the county. And some of those drop-off locations are in key area where many of our students walk to get to their schools. And so, you know, I'm really grateful that the county is letting us add a school board member or someone to represent the school district to these things, because so if there is issues with any of the residents, those things could be addressed quickly and solved. And so that is really why I want to serve on this council, or this advisory council. So thanks.
Okay.
If I could just add,
Yes, ma'am.
I work in this area, and I would consider this position too, but it really, the reason why it impacts our constituents. So I want them to be able to have that voice, specifically for the person that represents them. So that's why I nominated Marilyn.
Understand? Okay.
Hey, Sean, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Can you let us know why you nominated Leandra?
So I received this letter from the county almost a month ago, and it kind of set my paperwork. And the only person that reached out to me was Miss Blades, and I thought since it was a position she took interest in, that's who I was going to nominate.
I figured we were coming back to the board meeting to nominate as a group, because I also received that letter.
So I would say that I kind of feel like we can't keep playing this whole thing. If when somebody says, oh, I represent this one area, I remember Trustee Buck saying, well, I hate when people say that they represent, because we represent all. And so I do think that that's a weak argument, and I think I can bring a lot to the table. There's Yorba Linda City Council on here, so it's not just you know, a certain area. It's representing the whole community, and I feel like I can represent this area of the community just as well as I represent our entire district.
Also,
I also want to.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Marilyn.
We all received this letter.
Uh-huh.
And when I received this letter, I contacted Dr. Chernus, and I said that I was interested in this position. And he said that Mrs. Blades that you had already appointed Mrs. Blades. And he said to reach out to you.
Uh-huh.
But that's going against the Brown Act. I can't go to you directly to talk about something that you've already talked to another board member about. And that's why I feel like it's so important that we do these at board meetings. We come together as a committee. We have had a lot of talk about how we're a team, that none of us have overarching voting privileges. We are all equal in our votes. And so that's when things like this come, they need to come back to the board so that we can have open discussions and talk about it, because we can't all go talk to the president about it. We would all be breaking Brown Act violations.
Yeah, I understand. Yes.
I would recommend that if we're going to be appointing somebody for a position later on, ever, that it's not put in the consent calendar, that it's actually put on a separate item, so that we could have a blank space and we could fill in that name as it comes, so that we're all making that decision together.
I totally agree. Now, keep in mind that the letter that did come to me was addressed to me, and it was my authority to go ahead and appoint somebody. And the only reason in which I thought it would be good is if we brought it up into our committee, is I wanted everybody's input on it. But I'd already made my decision.
So it is addressed to you. It was sent to all of us, but
Correct.
we have nothing in our bylaws that gives you authority to make those decisions.
I think if we're going to talk about this whole voting thing and the board or more a team, then there was a PRA that was done during our search firm. And it shows that you and Marilyn went behind the board majority's back after things were already voted and tried to remove Micaiah Lee as our search person, and as did Marilyn Anderson. And she also was requesting funds to be returned, unbeknownst to the rest of the board. And so I think when we have a committee like this to go out, I don't think that I've ever gone behind the board's back and tried to do anything, to get a consultant fired or to get a consultant removed or to do different things with funding. And so that's why I think that I would be best at this, is because I will take whatever the board wants and I'll take what the committee says and I'll bring it back to the board. And I won't do anything, behind the board's back. And I can tell the president exactly what's happened, and he can do it whatever, and Alex Chernus can advise the board as well.
So if you threw up something about the Micaiah Ali, I spoke to our attorney, and I am within my rights to talk to our attorney, and that's not something that we could have discussed or that we were able to discuss because we didn't have a meeting at that time.
The votes had already been taken, and then you guys went behind our back to do this.
Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and take our vote on this. This is going to be
Just a
for.
second.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm being accused of something that I have never done. I contacted the firm to ask for information because part of their agreement was to do certain things, and those things were not accomplished that I could not find. So I reached out to them
I understand.
and asked for those things.
Yes.
And I also consulted our attorney about this.
Mm-hmm.
I consulted our superintendent about this. I did not go behind the board's back. I wanted information. I never asked for Mr. Ali to be fired.
Okay.
I just wanted information.
Okay.
And that
Noted.
is my purview as a trustee to make sure that our dollars are being spent to the best of our abilities.
Got it.
And my communications were all over the phone, so I find that interesting that there was a public records request done that showed I was asking to get him fired, because that's inaccurate.
Okay. So these topics we can discuss at a later time. But right now, we do have a motion on the table of 22.1, in which
And this is for Maryland.
this was for Miss Marilyn Anderson.
Yeah,
to be
can
in
you
that place.
clarify what the vote is?
So the vote is to have Miss Marilyn Anderson be the representative for the board to this particular agency. So I do have a first by Ms. Buck and a second by Ms. Anderson. All of those in favor, I'll do a roll call. Ms. Buck?
Aye.
All right. Ms. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Frazier?
No.
Mrs. Blades?
No.
And I say no as well. All right, the motion does not pass.
You have a student board member.
Oh, and a student board member, sorry. Student board. It's okay, it's okay. He doesn't have to vote. Just putting him on the hot seat there, I'm
Aye.
sorry. All right. Okay, so the next item that we need to talk about is. Which one?
Well, wait, don't we need to nominate?
Okay, so we need to go back to the original item, and which is 22.1. And we need to take a vote on how it is written. Nominate Vice President Blades for the Bridges at Kramer Place Community Advisory Board per recommendation from President Sean Youngblood.
So moved.
All right. Ms. Blades made the motion. I need a second.
Oh, second.
Mr. Frazier is the second. Okay. All those in favor?
No.
Let me do a roll call. Ms. Buck?
No.
Okay. Ms. Anderson?
No.
Okay. Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Aye. Okay. Ms. Blades?
Yes.
Aye. And myself, aye. And I don't think we need our student board member to vote on it.
I abstain.
Oh, good. Good job. Okay, so the motion passes 3-2. Okay. Now we can move on to 25.1. I'll need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the MOU between PYLUSD and the City of Anaheim for the provision of one school resource officer for the 23-24 school year.
And
Second.
okay.
Oh.
All right, Ms. Blades seconded. All right, tell us about this.
I am so happy that we are finally at this point. It has been years that I've been on Richard McElinden's case about getting over there and communicating with them and convincing them to come back. Esperanza was our only school that didn't have a school resource officer, and that was one of the schools that we seem to have the most issues with. So it seems appropriate that we're finally back to this point. So I just wanted to highlight that and say thank you for the ongoing continued push to get them back on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I know that Dr. Churtis and I had a fantastic first meeting with their new chief there, who actually was a former SRO himself, so he has a heart for the SRO position, sees the value and the importance of it. And so Dr. Churtis and I wanted to make sure we reconnected with him early. I think we got him on his third day. And so we went out and met with him and went over the MOU and came up with an agreement that we can support.
Now, will that school resource officer do the same as our other officers and be available to?
The typical schedule for a school resource officer is 4 10s. They work 4 days a week, 10 hours a day, and so this would be no different. They would be housed at Esperanza High School. There's an office that they would be there, but they would be providing support for the other 3 schools that are in the city of Anaheim as well. So all 4 schools collectively would be supported by this person 4 days a week.
So what do we do at the 5th day? Just curious.
On the 5th day, like
Cross
we do with
fingers.
our other sites, is if we need support from
Balance.
PD, we would call and they would respond as needed.
Do we coordinate the SROs at all of the schools to make sure that they're not all off on the same day?
Just in the city of Placentia, because we have 2 covering 2 high schools, so one works Monday through Thursday, the other works Tuesday through Friday, to make sure that there's coverage on all days and that there's one available on that Friday where there is the day off.
And then do we balance with Yorba Linda and make sure that we don't have just one school resource officer on?
Well, there is only one in Yorba Linda, so they.
Well, I'm in one district-wide, so if the other 3 are off on
No,
Friday,
they
we
would
only
not
have one?
typically cover schools that are not within the cities that they serve, so they stay within their jurisdiction. But in all 3 cases, if we need to call for support, PD has been very responsive. We have terrific partners, as is one of our officers here tonight. With Placentia PD, we have a terrific relationship with all 3 entities, and they respond to our needs as we need them.
Perfect.
Yeah, and a special thanks to Chief Armandaris for supporting this program in Anaheim. And we are very much look forward to getting that officer on our campus.
Great, thank you. So we need to take a vote.
Okay. It sounds awesome. Let's go ahead and all of those in favor, let's go roll call again. Ms. Buck?
Aye.
Ms. Anderson?
Aye.
All right. Mr. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Blades?
Aye.
Myself, aye. And our student board member?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. All right. 5+1, motion carries. Okay, folks, that brings us to our adjournment. Tonight, we adjourn our meeting in memory of Celia Rodan, who passed away Tuesday, September 5th. Celia was the devoted parent and volunteer at Ruby Drive Elementary School. Her volunteer work spanned over 20 years. She was often seen on campus 3 to 5 days per week and sometimes on the weekends to help teachers and staff on any task that was needed. Celia was a true superstar and was recognized 2 years ago as their community honoree. Our district and community will be greatly missed by her. May we have a motion?
A second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Motion carried, 5+1. Our next meeting, October 10th. Thank you, folks.